that has been going on for many years. We believe this is illegal, unconstitutional. It is about time Congress to make some positive and active response to this unacceptable for the Muslim American community and for anyone on that regard. The watch list has been going on for so many years. It hurts and it impacts many Muslims' civil rights. This is the country that we cherish, our protection of human rights, and therefore our civil rights should be no exception. And I commend CARE for their work to highlight what this watch list does to American Muslims. And I applaud members of Congress who are willing and those who are going to support the reform on this watch list. I ask also our community and those who are participating in today's Advocacy Day to bring this to the attention of their representative. It is very important to bring this to their attention, to discuss their personal stories, how this has affected their lives and their loved ones. And with that, I believe it is time for the change, and the change has to be positive, and the change has to be now. Thank you. And again, I look forward to see each and every member of our Advocacy Day doing the right thing with their members of Congress and bringing this issue to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Osama. And just wearing my cap as the USCMO Steering Committee Chair for the National Muslim Advocacy Day, we had over 600 people register from more than 20 states, and they're doing over 200 meetings with Congress right now. And in prioritizing the watch list, we're asking that Congress exert oversight on the watch list. This program might have been created illegally by the Bush administration, but there has been a lack of congressional oversight, a lack of congressional investigations, a lack of members of Congress speaking out about this, and a lack of congressional reform. We're also having these hundreds of delegates meet with their members of Congress to ask that members of Congress step in and intervene in watch list cases to help get Muslims that are wrongfully placed on this list off that list once and for all. So our next speaker is CARE National Board Chair, Dr. Manal Faruqi. If you could please come, it would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. And it's a pleasure to be able to address the individuals that are listening to this regarding the watch list and the work that CARE is doing. You know, a watch list is unjust, it's unfair, it's un-American, it's unnecessary. And when you take a community and you sideline it by creating suspicion around it, that is not what we expect to have here in America. So we encourage each of the individuals in the Muslim community to continue to educate and speak up, because it's a beautiful community, it's a peace-loving community. And this is a mistake that was created. I don't think it's necessary. And we will continue to work to unwind and unravel and eliminate this watch list. So the Muslim community is a community that you can be proud of. And many times my friends have said, you know, when I know that a Muslim is living next to me, I expect a good neighbor. And that is exactly the message that we need to deliver. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker will be CARE National Deputy Director, Edward Mitchell. Edward, if you could please take the podium.
Assalamu alaikum. Edward Ahmed Mitchell, National Deputy Director of CARE. On behalf of our National Director, Nihad Awa, the entire CARE team, I want to thank you all for watching. Right now, American Muslims from across the country have assembled on Capitol Hill to speak to their elected representatives about several important issues. But most important, I dare say, is the watch list. Why is that? Over the past 30 years, our organization and others have been fighting various forms of bigotry, employment discrimination, travel discrimination, school bullying, hate crimes. We cannot control what private actors do. But it's important to note that one of the biggest purveyors of anti-Muslim bigotry in America is not private actors, it is our government. And the watch list is one of the biggest avenues for it. 1.5 million names on this Orwellian watch list. The overwhelming majority of them are Muslim, including people right here in this country. This is unacceptable, and it's causing real harm to real people. The nice thing about this situation is that it doesn't take an act of Congress to solve. It doesn't take a Supreme Court ruling. It is something that President Biden himself today could fix. He could reform the watch list, get rid of the watch list, replace the watch list. This was created by a president, and it can be changed by a president. So President Biden has made it very clear that he opposes anti-Muslim bigotry, that he wants to work with the Muslim community to confront anti-Muslim bigotry. He can do that right now by taking on the watch list. That is within his power, and he should address it so that no more American Muslims or anyone else is unjustly treated because of this Orwellian, unconstitutional, overbroad list. I want to thank everyone who's going to be lobbying over this issue today, and I want to especially thank the CARE attorneys who have been fighting this watch list before anyone even knew what the watch list was. And you're going to hear about some of the great work they're doing in just a few minutes. Thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.
So much, Brother Edward. Our next speaker will be CARE Senior Litigation Attorney Gadir Abbas, who has fought very hard in a number of federal circuit courts against the watch list. Gadir, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Gadir. Just a few months ago, CARE received a leaked copy of the watch list. Over 1.5 million entries of the secret watch list that has terrorized Muslims for almost 2 decades. And we looked at that list, and guess what the most common name was on that list? The most common name on that list was Muhammad. What was the second most common name on that list? Ali. The third, Abid. The fourth, Abu. The fifth, Ahmed. The seventh, a different version of the spelling of Muhammad. Abdullah, Ibrahim, Ahmed, different version with an E at the end. Abdul, and then Muhammad. The top 50 names are all Muslim names. We estimate that 98% of these more than 1.5 million entries identify Muslims, regard Muslim individuals. We don't have to guess what the watch list is about. We don't have to infer from the people in our communities that call us. We don't have to aggregate anecdotes. We can just look in black and white at the contents of the list. And the contents of the list indicate that it's a secret list of Muslims. The FBI created a secret list of Muslims. It's there, it's sitting there, it's still there, and there's more than 200 meetings right now on Capitol Hill to address this issue. The Muslim community will not accept the FBI having a secret list filled with Muslims. For ourselves, for the next million targets of this secret FBI list, we're opposed, and we expect the Biden administration to act on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gadir. And I would add that then candidate Biden, while campaigning for president, promised that he would review the watch list and address constitutional concerns, especially in trying to get off the watch list. So we are continuing to lobby the Biden administration to keep their word and to review and to reform, inshallah, abolish the watch list. Next, our next speaker is someone that has been personally impacted by the watch list, and they are also CARE National Board Member and Imam Johari Abdul Malik Seal. Please take the podium. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you. Wa alaikum. You know, when we think about the watch list and we think about the rules and the regulations and how many people's names are there, there's a database, but sometimes we don't think about the real human story. Now, when Robert introduced me, he introduced me with my family name, which is Seal. It's not an Islamic last name.
Neither is Macaw.
And neither is Macaw. So I know when I'm stopped at the airport or entering the country by car or by boat, that the name that they see on my passport is not Muhammad. It's not Abdul. It's not even Johari. It's Seal. And so somehow people like me have gotten on the list, not because we have a Muslim name, but because we're Muslim. Now, last time I checked the Constitution, according to its First Amendment, which is the Bill of Rights, we have the freedom to exercise our own religion. Somehow woven into policies in our government that don't abide by the Constitution, people like myself, just because me and my family are Muslim, we're now on a list and we're being watched. One of the crazy things about being on a list is to be on a list that you can't prove that you're on a list. You can't therefore say my name is improperly placed on the list, so there's a process to remove my name from the list, because whenever I'm stopped at the border, no one says, well, Imam, you know you're on the list. But after so many iterations of being stopped with myself and my family, usually coming from vacation, the person at the border will say, I apologize, Imam. I looked in the notes, and everybody says you're a good guy. If I'm a good guy, and you've been following me for the last decade, and you haven't found anything useful about me, then take me off the list. I understand the issues around national security. If there are bad actors, we need to find them and take them through a process of due process. And if they're guilty, then convict them. But if you're a person who's on the list and you remain on the list, a subject of surveillance, but you haven't committed any crime, this is injustice. My wife and I were coming back from our 20th wedding anniversary cruise. I promised my wife I'd take on a cruise. So when the ship docked in Florida, they made an announcement overhead that now that our ship has entered port, we are now turning the authority over to the domestic authorities, Homeland Security and Customs and Immigration and so on. My wife looked at me and she said, you need to hurry up and pack your bag. I said, what do you mean? We just on a cruise, you know what I mean? Hey, there are a lot of people going to be in line and all that stuff. I have to take my time, pack my stuff. Man, was she right. 2 officers came to our berth. Are you Imam Johari? I said, am I Imam Johari? That's not what's on my passport. I said, yeah, I'm Imam Johari. They said, well, come with us. And they escorted my wife and I off the boat. You know, of course, we waved to the people looking at us like, who are these people? And we got a kind of VIP treatment. But she and I knew that the VIP treatment that we were getting is that we weren't important people. We were suspects. Instead of coming back after a wonderful cruise for our anniversary, we were in detention. And you know, we sat there for a few hours, missed our flight, for no other reason than the fact that we're Muslim. That's odd. Soon after that, the government would call me and ask me, can you go to Afghanistan as a public diplomacy agent and tell them about the beauty of Islam and being Muslim in America? This is a government obviously has a very short attention span, right? I'm detained on the one hand, and I'm an ambassador for freedom and justice in America. Well, alhamdulillah, I did my best to explain to the Afghan people during the Obama administration that Islam remains the fastest growing organized religion in America, notwithstanding the fact that we have challenges. And so within those challenges, we are saying today that the President of these United States has the authority within his hand to establish justice, to right the wrongs of his predecessors, not with an act of Congress, although we're talking to Congress to say it should have oversight over the executive branch because there's something about the balance of powers. And maybe later we'll get to, with the help of our attorneys, to the other branch of government, the judiciary, to say that not only is it wrong, but it's unconstitutional. And so with that, I thank everyone who's joined us, because it is our obligation as citizens to help to create this more perfect union by petitioning our government for grievances. That is our obligation. It is the right and the obligation of a citizen to say if our government is going in the right way, to applaud them. And if the government is going in the wrong way, to look back to the Constitution, to correct the injustices. I'm a descendant of enslaved people, so I know something about the power of the Constitution. And so with that, I thank you all for listening. It was Robert's fault. He said, talk as long as you like. But on behalf of the Council on American Islamic Relations, know that we remain committed to standing for the civil rights and the civil liberties of American Muslims. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for those very powerful words, Imam Johari. With this, we're going to release CARE's new report. Again, 20 years too many, a call to stop the FBI's secret watch list. We're going to post this on our website. We're going to have it available on social media. I encourage everyone here and above us in those congressional offices to read this report. We're not going to stop here in promoting watch list reform. We're going to carry on. We want you to join us. So please support USCMO, please support CARE, and let's get Congress to pay attention to the watch list. Thank you. We're going to break off for individual interviews now. Goodbye. Assalamu alaikum.
So 5 p.m. back here.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, by the way, for watching that. And thank you for being so quiet while we were doing that. That was